am a senior VP at Element Environmental, which is E2HI. E2, I've been, I was one of the founding members. We started about 2005. Small company, locally owned and operated here in Hawaii, in Honolulu. We specialize, well, we're kind of a, I would say more of a broad-based environmental engineering consulting firm. So we work on anything from phase 1, phase 2s to EAs, impact statements, remediation, the whole kind of gamut. And we've done that on purpose, trying to be kind of a comprehensive one-stop shop, if you will, of environmental services. We historically have been interested in innovative type solutions, whether it be for investigation type work, assessments, or remediation in the past. And when ecoSPEARS approached us, or we actually, I think, I forgot the first contact, maybe in a Battelle conference or something. We saw you guys, and then we had heard of you. So anyway, we're I think officially introduced through our local Department of Health here.
That's correct. Yep.
To you guys, yeah. What is it? Maybe 3 or 4 years ago. So
yeah,
you guys definitely piqued our interest right off the bat, based on your innovative solutions that you presented, and that you had some more ideas on the horizon of how to approach and to address, obviously some important environmental issues that we're facing kind of globally.
Yeah.
So I guess that's how we came to be, and we've kind of developed this partnership over the last few years and have some exciting things coming.
Agreed. And I remember the first project, right? What the introduction was through Department of Health. Actually, Melody was the one that introduced us regarding a project that she had, which was the site in Molokai. And we were doing a treatability study for her, and to which we needed an on-island asset partner to help collect the soils, and that's how it came to be. And here we are now, basically in the brink of about to run a pilot program with the client, no longer with DOH, but now with the actual client itself, and looking to do a full-scale cleanup upon good results from this pilot program. So, and part of me wishes that you guys were in different parts of the country also, because we could use more of E2HI everywhere we are at. But Pacific is quite a big place as well, so we're pretty excited about the upcoming projects there. So, part of the the uniqueness also of E2HI is that it's an understanding of the culture there, right? I mean, doing business here in mainland versus doing business in Hawaii is just so different. So, but being able to have, again, an on-island asset that could help us out with the culture as well is incredibly helpful. So,
well, it goes both ways. We at Element, you aren't the first company that we've kind of tried to partner with to do some innovative things, and your guys' understanding of how to come in and be effective in different cultures, different landscapes and parts of the country and the globe have made this partnership, very painless and productive, I think. So that's a tribute to, I think, ecoSPEARS' willingness to be flexible, open to different ways of approaching things and different ways of solving problems, basically.
Agreed. So, Matt, current state of the industry. Love to get your perspective on as an environmental practitioner on just, we'll start high level, right? We'll start about the first thing that comes to mind is, state of the industry. Let's dial in and focus on what's going on with Palestine, Ohio. And I don't know if you heard about yesterday, the dig and haul completely flipped over and is now all over another town, right? So that's after they basically decided to burn it in the beginning, right? So after the train derailment. So
Yeah.
that's kind of like the state of the industry, and that's a very, very specific case, a very bad case actually, that shows what not to do. So let's start there, and then we'll go more to the nicer side, I guess.
Yeah, well, like you said, that's a perfect example of kind of the out of sight, out of mind approach that the industry has been using for, in other words, not really getting rid of the problem. We're taking a problem from one place, we're packing it up in a truck or train or boat and shipping it to another place and burying it. So it's essentially, it's not technical at all. It's not a lot of thought. It's just get it out of our sight and put it someplace where people won't complain about it. Well, for obvious reasons, that theory has problems, especially when in Hawaii, it's really apparent. Well, we don't have landfills that we can just bury stuff. It's all the land is extremely vital and used. So it's a finite resource. So we have to ship it to, someplace on the mainland or Asia or someplace that does have land that no one seemingly has cared about for years. But now that's all coming to light, not to mention there's several problems. There's not actually dealing with the problem, just moving it. There's the carbon footprint of, super excessive energy costs to mobilize these tons, thousands and millions of tons of media someplace. And the fact that there's opportunity for making the disaster worse, like this train crash or trucks dribbling things or ships sinking. These are all high risk type activities when you're moving hazardous material or hazardous waste. So that's three kind of large problems with the current state of, I would say, the industry standard for dealing with contaminated media, soil, water, whatever you have. So I would say that's kind of where we've all been for the last, I've been in the industry for 25 years, definitely for that long and before. So I think, definitely room for some change. We've been begging for change for years and trying to find some new innovations. That gives me hope alone, just mingling with people like yourself and ecoSPEARS and other like-minded folks. We've tried to surround within Element folks that feel that way and kind of approach our problems that way. And so I think just having, even though we are still, we have wide variety of clients who, some of which still obviously prescribe old school type methods and things, but then we have clients that are willing to try new things. And I just see that as kind of the little crack in the door where we're trying to, break it wide open when we get some of these things to work, these new solutions, and definitely including ecoSPEARS to just be kind of the instrument of change for the industry. So that's kind of what keeps me interested and intrigued and having fun with it.
I like that, man. That's the first time I heard of it. Instrument for change. We're going to use that. We're going to use that one. Good thing Henry's not here because he would have taken it for himself right away. So
he can have it.
He can have it. So that's a hope, and part of that hope also, it's the incredible part of it too is hope and instrument for change is essentially, it doesn't start with innovation. It really just starts with a mindset. It starts with people. Right. And you mentioned it. It starts with people, and we're starting to see it now in the clients that we work with, right? That are wanting to see something new and not the same old thing. Right. So I love that. That's what gives me a ton of hope. I hope more of them would come about, and I certainly hope more of them would come about much faster. Right. Because I think in today's world out there, doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on when it comes down to talking about climate change and sea level rise. Look what's happening here right now in Fort Lauderdale. Just talking recently this morning with my investors. The airport at Fort Lauderdale is completely shut down. They had 25 inches of rain that's caused a lot of flooding, and it's blown out the pipes out there. So. And here I'm thinking, okay, they're right next to the ocean. Surely the water can go somewhere. Nope. The entire city is flooded right now. The entire city is in a state of emergency. It's crazy. And then when you look at a situation like that, and we're about to come up to it, which is hurricane season here, typhoon season there in the Pacific, if you're going to landfill something, or God forbid, you're just going to basically say, we're going to leave it in place and monitor it, right? We don't need to wait for a sea level rise to happen. Hurricanes and typhoons are going to disturb it, and they're going to continue to spread it. And we're going to see it more and more and more, right?
Definitely.
And we're dealing with contaminations that are hydrophobic. But man, when the PFAS stuff really starts coming about, like what we're starting to see, contamination that basically dissolves right away to water, it's going to spread much more. So
yeah, well, you're right. Emerging contaminants, along with some climate maybe change, or things like sea level rise that will affect broad regions of area. That's a recipe for definitely some potential mass contamination, or definitely effect from some of these issues that we've been dealing with for years, and the new ones, like PFAS. So yeah, but they're all coming to light, and yeah, no, I hear you.
So give us, let's talk a little bit about projects and traction right now. We got a few things coming about with E2HI there in the Pacific. And we know it, we can't name some names, but we got some really, really exciting projects. I think one that we can officially name is, because it's a public project, it's the Coast Guard project at Cocos Lagoon. That's a really exciting one, because we're really helping out an island that has contamination, and the Coast Guard is looking for better ways on how to address it, because they don't want to just do the same old thing, right? They want to use things that work. So we have that coming, but talk a little bit more about the projects and the traction that's coming for Element and E2HI and ecoSPEARS.
Yeah, well, like you said, change is a difficult thing. It's hard to change a lot of people's mind all at once. So I think with each of these successes, starting with the bench scales, obviously on your level, and then moving into the pilot scale, with each success, we're gaining some change, and getting some traction on this in the industry. And that's one of the biggest things, since we've joined up with you guys for the last 3 or 4 years. Just in that short time, you guys have really made the most of that time. And I would say that because we have, like you said, we have a handful of pilot projects that have followed a handful of bench scale studies that showed success. And I think with each one of those, that's it's kind of going to grow exponentially as we have successes and start stacking these up on each other. And this year is particularly a exciting year, because these pilots are going to be kicking off in a matter of months. So yeah. I think that's going to lead to another level of projects being lined up, and demonstration projects along with full scales. So it's going to kind of build on itself. It has been building, kind of slowly at the base, and now I think we're going to see it really take off. And I think, obviously that's a tribute to your guys' effort, kind of taking a deep dive into the industry as a whole, from regulators on down through private consultants like with us. But yeah, I think the traction that you've gained in a relatively short amount of time is pretty amazing, and I would expect it to, like I said, continue to grow even faster now. And we're starting to get this data. You guys' data is getting more out there, well known with each subsequent study. Pilot results are going to be forthcoming, by the end of the summer probably. And so yeah, I think I'm just really excited to for the next 3 or 4 months.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, we've actually got a couple of reports coming to you. I'm just reviewing it now. Some really some exciting results there, and some findings that Evan and the science team have actually learned about washing it with water first, or salt water, and what it actually does to liberate the PCBs from the soil. Pretty incredible findings that they found. So we got that coming to you. And actually, before we did this call, I just got done signing 2 new patents that we're submitting, and just learned that we should be awarded them in July of this year. And that's one for EcoIna and EcoCube. And we're really excited about this EcoCube method because we're also working with EPA now to gain the more than just a comfort letter, but basically the certificate to be the alternative to incineration and alternative to decontamination of PCB in solvent. That's going to be the big thing. That's going to be the big thing. I always tell our team here and our investors, it's no longer about an absence of projects, because we have projects coming, right? And last year was the first year that we're actually started being asked to skip pilot program scopes and start developing only full scale and build in the pilot. So that was cool. But in absence of just focusing, or just instead of just focusing on bringing on projects, part of also about building the company is continue to build innovation. Continue to build innovation that the industry truly needs, that or essentially be those instruments for change. So we're really excited for that. We got 2 more coming this year, and we got another SPEARS one that we continue to wrap around the NASA patent with. This strategic move, basically. So we talk a little bit about team and leadership and culture between the 2 companies. One of the things that I'm really excited about this year is that Marvin especially has becoming more involved with our science team. And so Marvin's background has been analytical chemist. Can you talk a little bit more about that and how him kind of being part of the whole SPEARS or the ecoSPEARS science method development? That's going to be incredible for both parties too.
Well, yeah, I mean, basically it comes down to what we're doing, what you guys are working on, the solutions. The success is going to be determined by analytical data of our media, and that's kind of getting down into the technical weeds of it. But we need to make sure that data, when we're going out and saying, hey, this is a new viable solution, that data is what is backing us up, and that comes down to chemists on a bench lab doing things correctly with using EPA methods, doing things that will pass muster with lab audits and standard laboratory procedures. Marvin Heskett is a senior chemist at Element. He's had years in the industry as well. He was a manager of a production lab. So he's also has the innovative mindset that we've talked about before on this conversation, where he's looking for changes and willing to kind of step out of the narrow mindset and maybe, like you said, tweak a method or develop a new method to fit what we need to do to have the data fit our solution. So I think he's a good kind of a complement to your team. ecoSPEARS has obviously an amazing chemistry team already, and Marvin, I think, adds some experience and perspective to that could be useful. And I think we're seeing that this year, especially. He's kind of been able to step in, and hopefully we'll be able to as we get into the pilots and kind of scale up here. Great.
So we'll end with a fun one, Matt. I'm going to let you go first because I have 2 in mind. So fun one is favorite, I want to say, like ecoSPEARS memory that you can, when you say Element Environmental ecoSPEARS, what is that one memory that comes to mind right away that pops into your head?
Well, it has to be Cocos Island. And for those of you listening, Cocos Island is like this tropical little seemingly paradise.
Yeah.
Micronesia. But yeah, ecoSPEARS and Element out on this island, kind of sweating through the jungle and on the beach, and deploying ecoSPEARS next to so just a picturesque, perfectly turquoise blue lagoon.
Yeah.
And I mean, you can't even imagine anything nicer. But I'd say just teaming up on something like that and knowing that the potential to visit a multitude of other locations like that in the Pacific,
yeah,
doing the same thing, implementing this new technology and coming up with new solutions. I mean, that's a pretty strong memory and has powerful implications. I think, yeah, that's a fond one because that was kind of the one that's kicked us off as far as teaming up and being in the field together. And we're going to have many more of those, I would guess. So I'm looking forward to that and can't wait to get on the next one.
Yeah, I was gonna say Cocos Island too, man. I mean, like, because there was a project 2 years in the making, right? And we were ready to go, then COVID happened, and
Right.
we were just restricted on going, so on and so forth. I remember two fond memories of the Cocos Island trip was my first night there. I jumped on the plane, flew out to the stopover Honolulu. I was already 12 hours into the travel. I'm exhausted. I only had 2 hours of sleep the night before because I was packing. And then the Element team and the Mountain Methods team, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, fresh, came in on the same plane from Honolulu. And I remember you guys were just all like cheery, and I'm like, man, just leave me alone for a little bit because I'm ready to go to sleep because we still had another 8-hour travel, right? And then finally getting to Guam, my first time ever in Guam, and learning more about the culture there and figuring it out. And I want to say that's one of the first memories. The second one was just breaking bread in that restaurant and that hot sauce. That was really cool. That hot sauce was memorable. And what it really showed me was that, man, this is so cool. This is the team that we're about to basically lockstep with for years to come. And the fact that leadership of all organizations involved are about to go trudge in the muck. I would say the muck, but it's really just nice, a beautiful island, right? But there's a lot of hard work there. I remember the boat preparation the day before or 2 days prior. There's a lot of work to do with that. And I remember looking at the spaghetti of electrical wiring that we had to figure out. That was fun. And then finally going into the island and landing there for the first time. I remember I took this picture of you, Marvin, and Dave. You guys jumped into the water, swam, and waded in. And I took this picture of you guys. I got to send it over, but of you three just walking to the island. I'm like, man, this is really happening. This is really happening. You know, so that's a couple of my memories of Cocos Island, but that's definitely one that definitely takes the cake when somebody says, okay, tell me about E2HI. I'm like, yeah, man, definitely. I got a few stories for you. So,
well, we're gonna have more, and we have some other cool islands coming up that hopefully we'll be talking about on the next one of these. But yeah, and the other part of that makes it neat is that we are, Cocos Island's next to a community that's relying on that lagoon, that beautiful place for their livelihoods, their sustenance, and we're there to help them continue that. So that kind of adds a little twist that is more than just being an eco-tourist. We're actually trying to do some good down there, and you guys are now part of that. And yeah, look forward to many more to come.
Yeah, likewise, man. And I'll finish off with this, right? One of my favorite quotes lately, which was from Henry Ford, which is, if people he said, if people ask me, or if I ask people what they would want, in innovation, they would say a faster horse, right? And he basically said, nope, that's not what we're gonna do. Steve Jobs did the same thing. He didn't do what is that? A group session figuring out what the community needs, right? It's like, we know what we're going to provide for you guys, and it's a sustainable future. We think we have a good idea on how to do it. And then, most importantly, it's about, and this is what I love about the E2HI culture, leaders lead, right? That you guys will never send your people to places that leaders have not been to yet. And that's the same thing that I walked away from Cocos Lagoon. And I tell my team here, and I'm like, we're going to put a lot of people on this 5512. And all of you guys, we're not all going to go at once. And we may not all go, But I want you guys to know that you guys should be rest assured and going there and have a little bit of butterflies, but always be rest assured that you're going to go because leadership from this company, just like in E2HI, have been there, done that already. And they're bringing you to a place that's absolutely safe, cool, and fun. And you're going to make an incredible impact towards the community there. So
I would definitely agree. And I would definitely agree that that's one of the common things we have with you guys. And I think why we blend so well together is we don't have, that's just already a given that we're going to kind of approach it in the same way with the same mindset and not afraid to get dirty from the top down. So yeah, I think that's what's leading to a good relationship.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Matt.